Hello, today's video is going to be East USA versus West USA. So I'm going to make left side red, right side blue. Of course, there's no bad guy. Every state has its own things that make it good. But of course, there are more powerful states than others. For example, Texas versus Oklahoma. We know who's going to win that. So, of course, first we're going to start with making the teams. So, there's the easy ones. It'll get a little harder once we get toward, like, the middle. So, I'm going to stop there. Blue team has quite a lot of states because over here, the New England area has a lot of small states. But overall, this is probably going to equal this. Okay, let's see, you got that. West Virginia, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, Mississippi, and Alabama, Indiana, Michigan. This is supposed to be this. And now this, this, this. Okay. I think, okay, I don't know if, like, Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana would be considered middle or east. Now, of course, I know these are the Midwest countries, just we're doing east and west. But it seems like there's a pretty heavy blue team advantage. So I think I'm going to give red team Texas. As for the rest, I think I'll do, let's do blue team. I just want it to be balanced. I don't know if it's going to be like 25-25. Of course, Hawaii and Alaska are included. I'll give red team this one. Oh, what? No, okay. I'll give them Nebraska, Kansas, and blue team? Or should this be red team? Let's do, I think this is fair. This is what we're going with. These are the teams, and there's not going to be a leader for either side. It's just fighting. There's just war. And, of course, I did do a North versus South, like, original Civil War again. But this is East versus West. Alright, let's get it started. So, we're going to start off with the blue team down here. They are going to be starting their invasion, of course. So, California, I say, is the strongest. Number 2 is Texas. Number 3 is New York. And then, I do think generally, the East has more powerful states. They have Florida, Georgia, the Virginias. They have Carolinas, Pennsylvania, Ohio. But here there's, like, California, Texas, Washington, Oregon, and, like, the Rockies. But all that aside, time to start the fighting. Here we go. We've got blue team breaching the border of Texas on the east side, and they are starting to come in and take some land. Of course, the coastal land is more important, and they're inching their way in. Down, I don't know why I said down. Up here, we're going to see another blue team invasion into Wyoming from South Dakota. I apologize if I say the wrong names, but I think I know my US states pretty well. So, of course, not many people live in Wyoming. It's actually a fun fact, the least populated US state with only 500,000 people, with, of course, the majority living in the capital of Cheyenne. So, I would say it's going to be a pretty easy take here. But, of course, there's probably going to be a high concentration of red troops because it's just on the border. North Dakota is also going to start its invasion. Of course, not only North Dakota troops, but just blue team troops are going to start their invasion of Montana as they start to get length along the Canadian border. Taking it back down here in the middle, where red team is going on the offensive into the Arch state of Missouri. Of course, I'm referring to the Arch. And they're going to take a little bit of the west side and are going to try their best to take just a decent amount of land around the border, which they're able to successfully do, but of course are eventually halted. Blue team down here is meeting a lot of Texan troops, which are going to be able to reclaim a decent amount of land back, and are starting their own pretty good offensive. Meanwhile, another front is opening in Arkansas with red team troops, which is going to connect with the Missouri front to try to make one big line. Of course, red team's plan is to make a line that goes here, sever off these states, take them out, big line, go across, get these guys. Blue team, they're trying to blitz into Texas. If they take Texas, and that's like, they can attack here, they can go here, they can go anywhere, really. So that's what the general strategy is for each team. As we see red team penetrating further into Arkansas land from Arkansas, yeah, I'll call it that, as well as land from Missouri. I think that would be Missourian land. Taking more Missourian land. Up here in the north, blue team is enhancing their offense within Montana, and of course are going to start to connect with the people in Wyoming. Back down in Texas, Texans are continuing to do their stuff as they eventually are able to successfully push into Louisiana and are going for the classic take the coast tactic. The red team up here is going to attempt a front in Nebraska, but are ultimately going to be pushed back by superior forces here, and it's going to result in another invasion from the South Dakota area into the north side of Nebraska. They're making a plan up here to sort of make a sphere of influence of sorts, to take quite a decent amount of land from the few people that live up here. Sorry. But here in Missouri, the front is continuing to do well until they reach the more heavily populated areas, of course, with more fortified defenses. Same thing in Arkansas, whereas in Louisiana, they of course are going to be able to successfully connect as more red team troops are arriving. Of course, from like over here, because like California, Nevada, Oregon, Washington, Arizona, they aren't defending themselves from anything, so they're sending their troops over here. Same thing, New York, Florida, Virginia, they're sending their troops over here because there's quite literally nothing to defend. So after that, we're going to see more blue team troops to start to arrive over here in north central USA, and are going into the Nebraskian front. And if you might see something happening over here, that there might be a little encirclement movement going on, but we'll see later on. Blue team is continuing to push into the corn state, which, I mean, Iowa is pretty corn-like. A lot of these places are corn. So they're going into Nebraska, taking a decent amount of land, and are eventually going to be able to successfully take Lincoln, and of course maybe start invasion of the breadbasket of America, Kansas. Red team troops are having a solid front in Louisiana because there's really nobody that can flank them, and so all the fighting is right over here. So they're just going to do their thing to continue along the coast. The superior Texan troops are bringing back what red team troops are here. And of course, the other people that are over here. Red team troops are, as previously mentioned, faced with the wall of blue team troops over here in Missouri as they reach the more populated areas. And they're going to attempt to then redirect their efforts to Iowa to do a classic encirclement movement of either Missouri or Nebraska. The people in Nebraska. So red team is continuing to go up and takes a decent amount of Iowa land, whereas the blue team troops are continuing to go down, taking a good amount of Nebraska land, and eventually we're going to have our first state to crumble. There goes Nebraska. Now the next front starts down here in Kansas, with the Nebraskian troops the troops that invaded Nebraska descending from the north into them, and also the front into Iowa to save them has been started, and we got a big encirclement and they're captured. This is going to cause great weakness to the front in Missouri, as they too are going to start to be pushed back. This is a big problem, so red team has decided their main focus is to be down here and to just take the south. Blue team is, of course, going to start facing their efforts up here. So, just like I said, red team troops are taking much more Louisianian land, and eventually the whole state is falling as they get into the land of Mississippi. Mississippi land, of course, is starting to fall as they continue their approach through the Arkansas land. Blue team, not one to fall behind, continues their land grab in Kansas before turning their attention to Missouri and increasing their front here. This, of course, is going to result in the stalemate and eventual red team pushback in Kansas, but it's not going to be anything too bad. Blue team is trying, from here, they're trying to like do this and then get another encirclement, which is going to be a huge blow, but that would be a good move. That's what they need. So we'll see if that happens. Red team isn't really getting that much land. They're trying their best down here, as previously mentioned. Majority of their troops, their strength, their resources is going down here for this now Mississippian front. So they're just going to be able to continually take land, and they're sticking to the south with their backs against the sea. So there's like no like encirclement that's happening like that. So red team, instead of taking all of Mississippi, they're headed on into Georgia for a short little vacation before they enter the panhandle of Florida. While this is going on, Missouri is being completely reliberated, and the Arkansanian front is actually starting to crumble a little bit, as a lot of land being taken back. So same thing is happening in Kansas. Great land is being lost as red team is starting to crumble and needs to withdraw their troops, leading for blue team to take quite a decent land back, all the way back into Mississippi. Red team is panicking a little bit, and of course are redirecting the troops to this section of America, leaving way for blue team to continue advancements in the north, which red team kind of forgot about. Montana is being swept through because of the lack of resources, soldiers, people there fighting, and a huge blue front is entering Wyoming and previously mentioned Montana. Quite a huge mark of land is being taken, and red team is honestly starting to crumble as they're being pushed back all the way from Kansas, third state to fall. And now Mississippi is completely reliberated, and Louisiana is next on the saving list for blue team. Blue team is continuing into Arkansas as it's eventually reliberated, and of course next is going to be Oklahoma and possibly even Texas. Blue team is doing pretty good. They're on a roll. They saved Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, Arkansas, Missouri. They're starting to save Louisiana, so they're doing pretty good in this war. Also up here, things are happening. Blue team starts invasion of Oklahoma, and it's not going to go well for the Oklahomians because there's 1, 2, 3 states that border it, which are blue, so that's going to be like 3 major fronts that are being started, and the Oklahomians are being kind of encircled. They're being pushed back greatly. In a flanking maneuver, blue team gets a little too cocky, and they're going to try to box off this area, but that's a lot of land, and Texas sees that, so they go help their good old friend and cut them off, and they're gone. Push back a little, and they restart their campaign in Louisiana, and are able to successfully take back all Louisianian land, and are going back into Mississippi. They aren't grabbing as much land because they know their job is to get into like Missouri area. That's what they're doing. That's what they're trying to get to. And they take Georgia land. Up here, blue team is entering Colorado, but decides that's not a good idea because mountain. So they keep going up here in Montana along the border where Canada doesn't exist. There's no other country in this world. It's just black. USA is the only one that exists. But this means that there's not going to be any flanking. So that's pretty good strategy as blue team continues to push forward and gets a little too close to home for some of these states, resulting in the fact that resources are being pulled, and we're going to see blue team push back in the south and eventually take a decent amount of land in Louisiana. Texas is starting to withdraw more and more troops from this eastern front to try to help Oklahoma, resulting in an invasion of Texas once again commencing. Oklahoma is holding fast and is doing pretty good to hold off the blue team troops, but same cannot be said for the 500,000 people living in Wyoming as they are being pushed back. Yeah, their state is gone. From here, there's a lot of options. You could go to Utah, Idaho, help out in Montana. They're going to go with the help out in Montana route and take the south side. But I guess there's a pretty big problem here. They're pretty deep out in the USA, in West Side USA. So there's way for invasion to re-liberate this fallen land, which is going to start commencing, of course. And Montana is going to be a little bit re-liberated. Down here in the front, blue team has a breakthrough. They break into Oklahoma, taking copious amounts of land. They learned from their last mistake, and they're not going to go for an encirclement, but instead they're going to go for a big long line, connect with the Texas front, and take a pretty hefty piece out of this state, the Lone Star States. Up here, red team faced with a wall of blue team troops. Blue team is diverging troops here and here. These are really the only fronts they're worrying about. This isn't too defended, but I don't think red team has enough power, resources to go in and start another invasion. I think they have to start focusing on defense mainly, which is going to be very important as Oklahoma is starting to fall, as well the state is completely taken, and another invasion from north side of Texas is commencing. Texians are rapidly falling. They're losing land. Up here in the north, Montana is getting less aid because I think they would think Texas is more important to help. So blue team troops are coming back. In and are taking out Wyoming, taking out Montana. Idaho is next on the chopping block as a wave of troops come in there, and also they're going to start taking some bits of Utah. Texas, too, is continuing to lose land as really not many people can go and help them because, well, there's this going on, but there are some people there helping them. Texas just keeps on losing land, and eventually the panhandle of Oklahoma is taken, and a complete sweep of the north of Texas is happening as troops from New Mexico, they kind of make a spearhead because you got like Albuquerque and Santa Fe, and that's it here. And so yeah, into Arizona, there isn't much people here, but this will leave way for, of course, another invasion of Texas. And by this point, Texas is starting to crumble. It's falling apart greatly. And, well, the majority of it, I'd say, is lost. It's a lost cause. Red State starts to just surrender in rapid forms. Colorado is gone. And now it's just these guys left. And let's be honest, these guys are screwed. So that is it for the video, of course. I mean no bad to any countries who were invaded or were displayed as weak. Each state is unique. I think I just said country for some reason. But each state is unique. Each state has something great about them. Just making something fun. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I appreciate you for taking time out of your day to watch my video. Have a fantastic day today and tomorrow and every day this week. Bye.